Hello and welcome back to ATARC's webinar series. Today, topic experts will share strategies that agencies can implement to alleviate the concern of the unknown and make operations more efficient. My name is Kirsten Patton, and I have the pleasure of moderating today's panel. ATARC stands for the Advanced Technology Academic Research Center, and we are a nonprofit that facilitates collaboration between government, industry, and academia in order to accelerate technology modernization initiatives. We provide ongoing opportunities for cross-agency collaboration through on-site interaction, learning, and market research. I would like to welcome all of our attendees online today, and a special thanks to Raj Srivatstan and the entire Sky Solutions and Allen AI team. This afternoon, we are going to hear from our panelists and have a Q&A session where we're also going to pop up a few poll questions for our audience and answer any audience questions. So before we begin, I would like to encourage the audience to please submit those questions of your own in the Q&A section of this platform, and also remember to answer the poll questions in order to ensure that you receive your CPE credit. With that being said, I'd now like for our panelists to come on camera, which they have, and we'll begin with a round of introductions. So please share with us who you are, what agency or organization you represent, and what your role is there. So let's kick it off with Karen, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here today. My name is Karen Howard. I am the Director of the Office of Online Services in the Bureau of Treasury with the Internal Revenue Service. My office is basically charged with really driving digital applications, digital tools to enhance the taxpayer experience and the employee experience. We basically are in charge of irs.gov and all of the digital tools that sit on the irs.gov platform. We are really excited about this topic today because it really hits home to how we're organizing under the new Inflation Reduction Act. We are leveraging that opportunity to expand what we're doing in this space to improve the tools that we use to ultimately enhance the taxpayer experience. So we're happy to be here with everyone today.
Wonderful. We're happy to have you here. Erica, let's jump to you next, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Erica Bosler, and I'm a data scientist with the National Nuclear Security Administration and the Department of Energy. So for those who don't know, the National Nuclear Security Administration, or NNSA, not NSA, not NASA, but NNSA, has 4 mission priorities: designing and delivering the nation's nuclear stockpile, forging solutions for global security and stability, harnessing the atom to power a global naval fleet, and leveraging transformative technologies to address emerging challenges. So my work at NNSA, I lead a portfolio of initiatives across the nuclear security enterprise that improve how we use our data to provide organization-wide mission value. And I spend a lot of time interfacing with teams in our network of national labs and nuclear plants and sites to understand the barriers that they face to effective data use and helping them address them.
Fantastic, thank you. And Dr. William Streamline, but I may have...
Yeah, that's good.
Streamline, okay, got it.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Bill, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer within the Chief Digital and AI Office here at OSD. My background is in AI research applied to cybersecurity, image processing, and most recently biotechnology. And I joined the department at the initiation of the CDAO, which was February 1st of last year. Very excited about this topic. This is of great interest to us in the DoD, as well as our stakeholders. And so really interested in the way we explore it today. My role within the CDAO is to think about future technologies, specifically those related to AI and how they can be leveraged within both enterprise and mission spaces. So we focus on thinking about the architectures that leverage them, but importantly, sort of the future architectures, why we don't want to get painted into a corner across in any of those dimensions, whether how they're provided or the capabilities they provide themselves or how they're leveraged. So me and my team, we think about the principles we want to adhere to, and then the technologies that let us deliver capability across the DoD. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. All right, Shakib, let's hear from you next, please.
Happy Thursday, everyone. My name is Shakib Shraibi. I'm a Chief Data Scientist at the NTIS, which is a bureau within the US Department of Commerce. We have a unique authority to enter into joint venture partnership with the private sector. Actually, our mission is to assist federal agencies in addressing national and mission-oriented data-centric challenges that require quick access to private sector ingenuity and talent in order to deliver mission outcomes. To this, our public-private partnership framework, we have successfully assisted several governmental agencies in leveraging data as a strategic asset. I can list some examples, including our work with the US Department of Human and Health Services to tackle fraud, waste, and abuse, Department of Labor to develop a big data integration system to integrate about 50 legacy data-centric system application. With USAID, we're working with them to leverage aggregate data to optimally use resources to prevent, treat, and eventually eradicate malaria around the world. Wow. And with Jake, formerly Jake, part of the CDAO, we work with Jake to strengthen cybersecurity and stop network penetration. So I look forward to our discussion on conversational AI today, because it has the potential to accelerate mission delivery while exacerbating some of the risks associated with AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakib. And of course, our sponsor for this webinar, Ramu, could you please introduce yourself next?
Sure. I'm Ramu Sinkra. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Alan AI. A few years back, we started Alan AI as a tribute to Alan Turing. Every day, we interact with software on any website or on mobile phone. We use the existing interfaces that provide us and go find information and take some actions. Why can't we just have a conversation like we do a text message to our friend, or as we have a conversation with humans? This is a damn hard problem. And we as a team made significant advancements in language understanding, machine learning, and deep learning to build an actionable AI platform that does three things. Number one is it leverages the private data sets like IRS has or Department of Defense has, all these enterprises have. Second thing is it leverages the existing users' graphical user interface. So when the system responds back, the user has a trust that this is actually pulling up my information. And third thing is it has to be very accurate. So we leverage the user's context. So using these three elements, we built actionable AI platform, which is now adopted by 17,000 live application deployments for developers. And we are growing rapidly. We're working with clients in healthcare, transportation, energy, and now we want to get into the federal government deployments with our partner, Sky Solutions. Sky has been in the business of servicing the federal government clients for over 15 years, and they bring the expertise of handling the government requests and servicing them with the necessary regulations they comply with. To give you a background, conversational AI is somewhat like a chatbot or a chat GPT-like experience. Actionable AI is the next phase where you not only have a conversation, but you also take actions in the daily use software. This is the transformation we expect to have in the entire software user experience in the coming years. I'm delighted to be on the panel.
Excellent. Thank you. We're so happy to have you here. So I am going to do something I normally don't do, but I see we have audience questions coming through already. So let's kick it off with an audience question from Drew Jack. He just wants to know, what is the difference between conversational and generative AI? So anyone on our panel who wants to come off mute and kind of talk through that, I think it's a very valid question. Go ahead, Ramu, since I saw your hand up first.
generative AI is good companies like OpenAI, Stable Diffusion. They have done a fantastic job of training a large model where you can tell it something, you give it a good prompt, and it generates a bunch of text back to you. And all of us use ChatGPT like services like that. Then that's it's just a language generation or image generation technology based on the corpus of data has been trained on. Conversational AI is just having a human-like conversations, and companies that came before in the market, like a few chatbot companies, let you do a specific conversation, like file a support ticket. We see them on some websites. It's pretty annoying to use them because most of them, they don't understand what we say in a natural way. Actionable AI is where you not only have a conversation just like ChatGPT did, but also take an action subsequently to it.
Thank you, Ramu. Bill, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, just to add on to what Ramu indicated there, the way I think about it is generative AI represents any model that tends to be large right now, but can generate imagery or data, whether it's text or imagery or basically any modality. Conversational AI is a specific application of generative models that produce text, and as Ramu indicated, specifically text that appears to be conversational or is very natural for humans to interact with. So it's both conversational AI leverages generative AI, but also in a very conversational way that allows users to interact with it.
Thank you. Anyone else from the panel want to weigh in?
No, I'll just add, I agree with both of the responses, and the way I look at it in its most simplest form is based on the experience, right? How you feel after you interact with both. And I think, where people are gravitating to is the conversational feels more natural, feels more human. And, it's generative, I think, is foundational to the conversational, but I think the conversational has a much more enhanced user experience that feels more human-like. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Let's go Shakib and then Erica.
Sure, thank you. I think the panelists said it all, but we'll just add that, conversational AI are known as chatbots. So they are computer programs that are designed to simulate conversation with human users. Generative AI has given a boost to those chatbots. They're much more efficient, much more accurate, because they are based on large language models that have been trained on massive data sets. We're talking about billions and trillions of words and phrases, and they have through that they have become better and more accurate, because the main problem with language is context. That's what we have always struggled with. I mean, human language is context sensitive, while programming language are context free. So to bridge that difference, we needed that most massive data sets to have natural language processing model and machine learning models to be trained to bridge that gap and act almost like humans. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica, go ahead.
Yeah, I think something Karen said about how you feel when you complete that interaction, struck something with me. I think the difference for me is the kind of the model of engagement, right? Where in one level you're trying to create something potentially, where with more conversational AI, you're maybe trying to learn something incrementally, like iteratively, or asking a specific question, and they can have a similar kind of back end, but you're using them in a fundamentally different way. But yeah, I think it's fantastic having that large corpus of data on the back, right? So that we can extend and expand kind of the capability of what we can ask and what we can generate and how quickly we can do that and iterate on it.
Thank you. All right, Ramu and then Bill.
I'll give you an example of a healthcare customer of ours. Is deployed Alan AI. Here, this customer wants to have the users, their patients, ask questions about their blood pressure. Why is my blood pressure so high? What should I do about it? Then they asked us to access the Mayo Clinic data set and explain a little bit about triglycerides. triglycerides or these things, right? To make it very human readable and understandable, normal human beings, we take the response we generate and ask the large language model, make it human readable or make it friendly in just a short paragraph, like 4 lines, or if it's voice, just 2 lines. And the system generates it and we send it back. That's how we make it much more, as Karen said, very human friendly.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
So just to add a slightly different perspective on this, and I know that it'll probably come up anyways in our discussion, but the conversational aspect of these models, these bots is amazing. Absolutely. I have to pinch myself and remind myself that I'm talking to a computer. But I would say that it's a double-edged sword, that ability and that feeling like you're communicating with another human, because it is very conversational, lends a feeling automatically of trust. But that is actually a double-edged sword because we sort of imbue trust naturally. And that in there lies a lot of the risk. And one of the things that we're particularly interested in is trying to understand that risk and come up with techniques to make sure that what is conversed about, what is provided by the conversational AI, is actually truthful, grounded, and can be used to act upon. I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I just wanted to bring up that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And thank you, Drew Jack, for the question kicking us off. Actually, the next question I wanted to bring up is one that I had, but I want to tie it into another audience question that Karen, you already responded to. So basically, I want to ask, what has your organization currently been using AI for in order to improve citizen services and increase operational effectiveness? Karen, we had an audience question come in. You already responded to it, but it's just basically around what the IRS has done to positively impact user experiences in their engagement with the IRS. So do you want to kind of speak to that a little bit and tie those two questions together?
Yeah, I can. And you know, it's great. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your last name. I'll say Dr. William for now. You know, you kind of leaned on, you know, the IRS is a very cautious organization, and rightly so, right? So at the IRS, we're using analytics to really improve the customer experience. To really address what we've been tasked to do in the latest legislative acts. We deployed Google Analytics to pull together data from the web and from our applications so we can analyze and optimize a better customer journey. You know, the experience that we're looking for, so we're not aggressively going after a whole lot of chat AI right now. We know foundationally, based on the very nature of the IRS, we've got to get those underlining or foundational things right. We've got to get our content right. We've got to make sure it's accurate. We've got to make sure that the information and the data that the chat AI and the AI would feed on and the machines are learning is clean, it's accurate, it's trustworthy. And I think Dr. William really said it, right? There is this innate trust. And trust is something you can only violate once, really. And so we're taking a really, really cautious approach with leveraging, putting the foundational things in place. Now, yeah, we have chat bots and assistants where we're sure, based on, I would say, FAQs, right? Because we're sure that information is right. But to go full bore into this right now, we're being very cautious, very intentional, because you really only get one chance at this, right? And if you go south or land flat-footed, you know, the comeback will be extremely painful, especially for my team. I saw the first question was, oh my gosh, you know, the response rate for tax season, which by the way, ended Monday. I hope everyone paid their taxes, was great. I mean, what did you guys do? Well, you know, obviously the funding helped, but it's really looking at those foundational things and really leveraging data to understand performance and performance goals. And I think once you're able to do that, then you can build those foundational things and then stack the things that really optimize the experience, like the artificial intelligence on top of that, and feel very confident that you're truly serving. Privacy is a big deal for us, right? Trust. And so we've taken a very cautious approach. But we do have a roadmap of areas that we want iris.gov for search, helping people understand tax credits that they really do, that really apply to them, but they don't take advantage of because the tax code is so complicated. How do we make the tax code, more intuitive and easier to understand using AI? But of course, we've always got to take that cautious step before we jump into new technology and go full bore. You're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was just saying, thanks, Karen, for kicking us off on that. And anyone else on the panel kind of want to weigh in on an example of how you've been able to use AI to improve citizen services and increase your operations effectiveness? Ramu, I saw your hand up first. Go ahead.
No, I think William has really brought us to the core of these AI deployments, and Karen really gave examples of trust. There are two aspects to trust. One is trust with the end user using your service. If I'm using irs.gov, I need to make sure the AI software is responding correctly, very accurately with all these task codes, and they keep changing too, right? And when I need to fill the form, so there, what our clients have done is they used UI, meaning current GUI of the website or the form. Hey, this is what you should fill. Just like we humans, when talk to each other, we use visuals, right? So we found that is really reaffirming to the user, saying that, okay, I got the right content from irs.gov for this particular question I asked. Second thing is, from a enterprise like IRS is responsible. I'm just not picking on Karen, but IRS is responsible for all the answers it provides for its citizens, and make sure the accuracy of the content is not made up by large language models. It's very accurate. Whatever the code says, you should say that in a much friendly manner, right? And transparency and privacy. The citizens' interaction with IRS is a property of IRS. IRS has to use this data to make it smarter and better in the years to come. And that is what is required to provide operational effectiveness for an entity like IRS. And we have similar examples in healthcare. We have examples in first responders, where they want to get information on the go using AI without talking to any agent, and just AI should answer with the correct information about the incident they're preparing to. And subsequent to that incident, they want to use AI to just respond back and file a report correctly. So they're also, like, as I mentioned, the trust on the user side as well as an enterprise side has to be maintained, and they have to comply to all these regulations, whether it is in federal government or in private sector. HIPAA and other regulations are there. So each of these organizations have to comply and live by those to maintain the trust and achieve the operational effectiveness. It's huge in the years to come that AI can enable.
Thank you, Ramu. Shakib, Bill, and then Erica.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ramu, for mentioning the issue of trust, of course, and William before, and Karen. I think we are all very excited about the potential of generative AI, but we have to, I'm going to follow Karen's lead in this. We have to be cautious but deliberate, because the fundamentals are still the same. Whenever a federal agency needs to start working on a data-driven project or an AI-based proper solution, they should start with several conversations about what the agency mission is, what the purpose vision, what's the strategic plan, because there are a lot of commonalities, but every agency is different. And there are many ways that the governmental agency can use AI to improve citizen services and increase operational efficiencies. But there are, I would highlight three critical ones, and that's where I join Karen about being cautious and then working on the data. So first, you focus on the data quality, because all the AI-based solutions are as good as the data that they are trained on. And this is something that a lot of federal agencies are still a little bit behind. So they need to work on data quality, on data maturity, on how to aggregate the data, on how to work on the modernization of the infrastructure, selecting the right architecture that will work best to deliver on their mission. And the second point that I will make is, like Ramu said about trust, looking at transparency. We need to increase transparency by making data more accessible, more understandable, and that's where generative AI and LLM can be helpful. And personalize the services. So that's how we enhance the customer service, because AI can help you do that, and something that we can take into account. So cautious but deliberate, because the AI provides you a lot of capabilities that we need to take advantage of. And the third part, in order to be, we need to free up personnel from tasks that are tedious and that doesn't require really the level of expertise that they have. We want them to focus on what they are supposed to be working on. And automation is very important in this context. And that automation can start up the customer service questions and answer some of them, etc., and then surface basically only the ones that need a little bit more attention and more time for our personnel to handle. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Bill, go for it.
Great, thank you. And I love this question. I'll take a second to actually talk a little bit about why CDAO was stood up in the first place, because I think this is very relevant to this particular question about trusting AI. I love the way Shakib said it, cautious but deliberate. I think that's a great way to describe it. So the CDAO, just in a nutshell, was formed out of 4 other organizations that had already existed within the DoD. The JAIC, the Joint AI Center, the CDO, the Chief Data Office, and then a business intelligence program known as Advana, which is really bringing data analytics and AI to make huge changes and really increase decision advantage across the DoD. And then finally, the Defense Digital Services, which is a cadre. I like to call them the rebel force within the DoD that is able to quickly build and deliver digital capabilities to support need. My reason for bringing that up is to say that at our very core, our goal is to accelerate the adoption of AI across the DoD. And so that is our number one stakeholder, is the mechanisms and the businesses in support of the warfighter. And I like to say actually that what we want to deliver is assured AI, not just AI, but assured AI, which includes the ability to know that it's performant, the ability to know that it's robust in an environment that might be competitive or even adversarial. But importantly, it includes this notion of trust. And I'll double click on that a little bit, because we actually kind of shy away a little bit from saying trusting AI. We like to get specific, more quantitative with it. Trust is a hard dimension, if you will, or thing to measure. But we like to use the term justified confidence, and that comes from running the algorithms in a quantitative environment against real data that's relevant to the operations, and from which you can build confidence that the algorithm is going to work in an appropriate way when you deploy it. So I think that's sort of core to how we're thinking about delivering assured AI we like to say, from the boardroom to the battlefield. So there's a wide range of application there. In the boardroom, you've got the luxury, if you will, of probably an enterprise environment, probably a cloud environment. Your data is probably centrally located. It may be that your development environment is the same as your production environment. But as you move to the warfighter, you lose many of those things you take for granted. You're disconnected. You're in an edge environment, and it becomes more difficult to leverage those same capabilities that you could use to ensure the capability, to ensure the AI in the warfighting environment. But trust is just as important, or justified confidence is just as important there. And so, vectoring back to large language models and conversational AI, I like to think about it right now in 2 ways. 2 dimensions that are relevant for applying it are scale and consequence. I think right now we can really leverage these capabilities where the scale of the task is large, but the consequence is low. And that's because we can be there on the loop, as they say, or in the loop, to ensure that the outputs are accurate and complete. As we learn more about these algorithms, some algorithms we can already move to other spaces there where the consequences are higher and the scale may be lower. But right now, I'm comfortable in that zone, and I'm working with partners in industry and academia to learn more about how we can move to other areas of that space I just defined. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica, let's hear from you next, please.
Yeah, so in at my agency, we don't do a lot of citizen services. Most of our work is scientific research. It's nuclear, so a lot of it's in labs. So there's R&D work, and a lot of the operational work is, I mean, while it is a citizen service, it's not like citizen facing necessarily. So most of our AI is directed on increasing operational efficiency and effectiveness. And really, I mean, I'm relatively new to the job. I started about 6 months ago, but what I've learned to date is that one of the biggest challenges we have are just the massive volumes of data that our teams have to process. There's scientific data from, design and test activities. There's a lot of sensor data, lots of different kinds of sensor data, whether it's like network sensors or, sensors that are in the field somewhere that we're using. And so just the massive volume of data is a huge task. There's also document records, right? Historical records about nuclear programs that are currently being digitized. And then you have volumes of digitized records that are not organized. And so we have AI applications in all of these areas to bring structure and value to these massive piles of data. But in most of these cases, it's done under the oversight of a human. So the AI is taking the data and making kind of the recommendation, right, or kind of doing the analysis, and then it's reviewed, by people who then make decisions. We're not really at that point where, we're just have connected AI processes that are connecting through and just executing. Although I believe that, in the frame that that Bill mentioned, kind of the high scale and low consequence, I can see, I think the future going forward will be, potentially there might be things we could automate in terms of classification, right? Or something where it's a paper, it's not something on our test system. So I think there are opportunities to push that forward as we learn the technology better. But most of our models right now are really just bringing some structure and organization, to these massive different piles of data for use by our researchers and analysts.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Really appreciate all of you sharing your insights with us there. And I am going to call for poll question number 1, please. So we'll get that up on the screen. So for our audience at home, please be sure to respond to this in order to receive your CPE credit. Poll question number 1, who are the most important users of AI-based solutions at your agency? So please take a moment for that. For our panelists, I just have a couple questions of my own that I want to make sure we respond to, and then I will dive right back into our audience questions. So Shakib, maybe we can start with you on this one, but this is around ChatGPT. How would you use conversational AI technologies like ChatGPT within your organization, and what do you think is the likely impact of this?
I mean, great question. And yeah, as I mentioned, we are very excited about the potential of using ChatGPT and service like that based on generative AI. Just like late last year, some people were already talking about AI winter and stuff like this, and now it's like full force back. Everybody's super excited about AI. So of course, the talk about trust is extremely important. I should mention briefly before tackling your question, I would like to mention the U.S. Department of Commerce. We have done a lot of work about towards trust. There's of course the NIST AI risk management framework that has been developed and published after several years of work. across the world, and with partnership between the public and the private sector. So that's a very important step forward that's going to help us tackle that. Because within that context, we have to look at how we can leverage this technology, conversational AI technologies, to achieve the delivered outcome, while we've been talking about, making sure that we are actually doing the right thing, that we are abiding by our values, etc. So the way I see it now, it can be done is we talked about customer service. Of course, it can answer customer service questions 24/7 all the time, without the need of human agents. So that can improve customer service by providing faster and more convenient access to information. I mentioned the personalization of the information. That's extremely important, because conversational AI now is better at contextualizing the issues and adapting the question and the solution to the specific needs of any person or individual. It can be used to automate the tasks and speed up the process. So, for instance, whether it's scheduling appointments or sending you to the right department, etc. So it can free up a lot of employees that can focus on more complex tasks, and making government more accessible. I think there is an executive order about that, and that's extremely important, because at the beginning of AI, we all talked about the need for data literacy. We need, yeah, it's still true. All the government agencies and the federal employees need to have a better understanding about data, about AI, so that literacy efforts are extremely important. But I think this conversational AI is going to make it also accessible to the general public. I mentioned in a previous ATALK presentation that I introduced this concept of public in the loop instead of just human in the loop, to allow a general conversation about AI, the risks, and how it can improve our services, but as well as making sure that we are doing the right thing.
Yeah, thank you, Shakib. Ramu, go ahead.
I would add to what Dr. Shakib said on using of ChatGPT-like experiences. And ChatGPT has really proved that if you provide a human-like experience, right, just write anything you want, the thing responds back, right? So, Dr. William, I have a suggestion for you. You have two dimensions, scale and consequences. I would add a third dimension, how human-like it is to interact with the AI system. If it's robotic, we already had those things we saw in Star Trek and some of these movies, right? It should be like how natural it is. So that's the third dimension I would add to your metrics, so that when you judge an AI system. So what we learned is with ChatGPT, of that option they're getting, it's expectation for every enterprise to provide that kind of an experience. Whether I'm talking to IRS.gov, I have no clue on what tax code I should be using, but the system should be smart enough to answer the exact code that it responds back, whether I'm a citizen. Similarly, like Erika, you said, like you deal with mostly employee effectiveness, right? There, it's no difference. The employee should be able to just naturally ask any conversation, the system, and it should respond back in this nuclear test, whatever the testing they did, right? This is what they found out. Very easy to use. Not the current structured keyword search. This is all like legacy. I just need to talk to you, and you're smart enough to go figure it out what I meant in the question I asked, and give me the response back in a way I can digest it too. Very small, concise, simple English. And that is what AI can do for us in the coming years.
Thank you. And Erika, please go ahead.
Well, Ramu, that was kind of exactly what I was going to say. I think one of the biggest potential uses I see is having an interface for employees, right? So that you can access all of the information that is somewhere on the network. It's in a shared drive, it's on a SharePoint site, it's in a cloud. It's all over. And sometimes the hardest part is finding, like, once you find the information, you can take action, but it can be hard to find that information. And so making it available through a simple interface so that people can ask a question and they could find out, even if it's like multiple things, like here's a couple places you should start, right? And being able to synthesize that into a recommendation. I think the other thing, the other piece that I would like to see is also kind of mapping to who might you want to talk to. So being able to connect through not only the where are the documents, but who were the people who were associated with those documents so that you can get more information. Knowledge management is a big challenge. I think it's going to be a growing challenge in federal, well, everywhere, but I know in federal government, as we see more people leaving the workforce potentially than are entering the workforce. We're going to have pressure to train up people quickly to fill those roles. And we're going to be losing knowledge potentially, or losing actionable knowledge. It's in a document somewhere, but it's hard for us to access in the current format. So I see the interface of a chat GPT or other conversational AI, giving us the ability to help people get up to speed very quickly and also feel like they're adding value. I think that's the other piece. People don't want to spend, 12 months or more, right, to really get their footing in an organization. They want to get in, they want to learn the lay of the land in a couple of weeks, and they want to be able to start work without having to build an extensive network of people and documents over time before they can really add value to the mission.
Absolutely. Thank you, Erica. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so I love the point you just made there, Erica. I'll just foot stomp that. Here within the DoD, people do tours of duty that are 1 year, 2 year, and they're moving around all over the place. That's one of the strengths, is that people can be used for can apply their skills in many different ways. And I see what you just said as one of the key ways we could leverage these conversational tools, is to help people come up to speed very quickly. So imagine a soldier comes into a joint duty assignment or something like that, and there's all these reams of paper and reams of documents that are existing about how this mission was executed, and the ability to have a conversation to learn about where things are, who to talk to. I love that suggestion. And how to go about the job would just bring them up to speed much faster. They actually call it Groundhog Day all over again. So there's this time to learn how to do it. So I'll foot stomp that, just because I think that's a really good point. And then I'll say one of the other ways that we're really interested in looking at these technologies is their ability to provide a conversational interface to other modalities that may not be so intuitive for humans. I don't know the nuclear domain very well at all, but I can imagine there's a lot of scientific data that is impenetrable unless you are a PhD in nuclear science and nuclear physics. And so, the ability to visualize or at least have conversations about that data. And I can imagine other modalities that are not intuitive to humans, but yet we are able to work in them, would be a big boon to advancement in those areas. So we're very interested in exploring that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And go ahead, Ramu.
Yeah, to touch upon what Erica said, the most common use case we found was onboarding of employees. They're coming on board. If you join an organization like Erica's thing, right, there is so much corpus of internal data sets, so much documentation, right? It's not humanly possible to read them up and learn from it and be knowledgeable. But if you have a simple human-like experience, right, you just talk to it, hey, how do I do this, right? The system is smart enough to figure out your question and bring the appropriate document back to you. Hey, by the way, you should talk to Dr. William here in this case, right? Then the person who's onboarding immediately can press a button and, take the action to call Dr. William and get the question answered. So this is the power, not that you'll get inundated if your name is there, but this is the power of the AI that is coming forward, not just having conversations, but taking actions. Even conversations are going to be smarter. The word is called semantic search, not just a simple legacy keyword search. The world is advancing there. That's what I meant. Onboarding new employees is a big operational effectiveness AI will bring for every organization.
For sure. Yeah. Great example. I'm going to call for poll question number 2, and then we'll hit my last question, and then we'll see how much time we have left for the audience. So poll question number 2, what is the primary area of challenge that you've encountered with your AI deployments? All right, so Erica, let's start with you first on this next question. I don't think you've started a question first yet. So Erica, how would you use AI to generate actionable intelligence from large volumes of complex information in order to make better decisions? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So this is something that we have many teams that are already doing work to generate actionable intelligence from large volumes of complex information in our national lab network. So, for example, we have teams that are using AI models to test and refine the large computational models that they run in the high performance computing environment. So it can take days to run some of these tests in the analysis can take days to run in the HPC. And so they're right now they're actually exploring testing those models in smaller scale through an AI model before they run them in the HPC, because they basically have them stacked up and scheduled to go into the HPC. So this means that you'll have a better chance of getting the outcome you're looking for with the right level of quality when you do finally do your run. The other thing they're looking at is actually doing smaller runs in the HPC modeling and then evaluating them with AI. And so the whole goal is just kind of combining those two technologies in different ways to get higher quality, better, more accurate results much quicker. So the whole goal is to be able to speed it up and be able to maximize the efficiency and the value of the HPC environments, which are in high demand. So that's, I think, one of the main things. A lot of our work there is in simulation, and so they're just trying to really refine those simulation models. And it's really critical to the decisions that the teams make about specifically, well, in that case, I think it's nuclear stockpile, but whichever the mission area is, whatever that simulation is, the outputs of it do drive decisioning. And so it's really important for them to have a high degree of accuracy of the quality of the results.
Thank you. Karen, please go ahead.
So thank you. So when I think of really large volumes of complex information, I mean, can't get much larger and complex in the text code, right? So think about, the ability to not have to thumb through all of the various code versions to get to a simple answer of, can I do this, right? Can I take advantage of this credit? Is it legal to do this? How much of this can I do? I also think about use cases around, the union agreement, right? When you're trying to make a decision around how to treat a certain scenario with an employee, and the union agreement, if you've seen the, National Treasury Employee Union Agreement, it's about this thick and it's full of articles and sub-articles. And wouldn't it be nice to leverage ChatGPT to just say, hey, in the union agreement does this, that, da, 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 and it spits out an answer. Last thing I would speak to is, large volumes of content of complex information around even the Internal Revenue Manual, right? When you're on board and people, just tend, especially employees that have been there a while and know a lot of these areas by heart, they rattle off, oh, if you look in the manual, it's this, dot, this, dot, this. And it's like, oh boy, where do I go to find that? Instead of maybe asking a AI, a ChatGPT or AI to say, what is, this code in the manual so that I can make a decision around this. I think whenever you have large amounts of information that's fully vetted, right, that's trusted, people are using it, that could be the first use case for internal and external users of the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, I didn't necessarily see the order of the hands went up, but let's just go Shakib, Ramu, and then Bill.
Very quickly, I know we're running out of time, but just to expand on what Erica and Karen said, I think it's very important to point out. And related to the question that you asked before, Kristen, because of about ChatGPT and large language-based models, I see them as accelerators. So they provide us with the power, the capabilities of understanding the context of information. I don't know if they're going to be able to, if they can crack the tax code, I think we're going to be super happy with that. And but seriously, they can understand the context of information. They can make connection between different pieces of information that humans cannot do. So to strengthen evidence-based decision making, they can generate insight from data sets that will be difficult and impossible for human to use, and multimodal data sets can be text, videos, etc., and bring all that together and do it very quickly, because we're talking about the speed of execution of computers is increased and extremely powerful. So all of these is actually make these models, and we are just at the beginning. We know that they are imperfect and they need a lot of improvement, and the trust issue is still there, but the potential as well is tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ramu.
There are two major issues which Karen brought up. One is the AI model has to be trained on this thick manuals which IRS produces or this thick tax code produces. That's a corpus of data the AI model has to learn from. And second thing is, when the responses come back from the AI model, from the AI system which IRS will deploy, they are responsible, making sure it's interpreted correctly. They only can go to some extent. AI is nothing but statistical inference. They can only go say, this is the relevant code for you. Then the user has to do his own reasoning and take a decision and action. What do I do next? It's left to the user. So first part is they have to use the private corpuses these enterprises have. Second part is the responses the AI system is generated is part of the property for IRS or any other agency who's deploying this, and they're responsible. And as long as AI systems let you do these two things, you should definitely go ahead and try it.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, just quickly to add on this, I think this is a great question about how to make actionable intelligence from large amounts of data. The DoD, as you can imagine, has a lot of data. I'll bring up a couple of examples. Obviously, policy data, which sort of describes how the government should conduct its business and that sort of thing. That is a great area to apply these capabilities to understand it. And also just understanding world events that could lead to a better posture from a defensive standpoint, and understanding how we should position ourselves and those sorts of things. I think I like this question because it moves from a technical discussion of metrics of the model itself. And a lot of people think, these models are used basically for information retrieval. And so terms like precision and recall are relevant here. But you have to switch and think, what is the impact on the actual mission where you're going to be leveraging the intelligence or the information that you're retrieving. And so we're thinking about how it's going to impact our decision. So we have a term called decision advantage, and that's really why we want to leverage modernization that includes data, analytics, and AI. These algorithms, suitably vetted, as Karen was saying, can get us to that insight faster. Previous versions of models get you through some of the steps of the knowledge pyramid from data info, knowledge to insight, but there's still a human needed there at the end to go from knowledge to insight by digesting and assimilating that information. The conversational interface these models present give you that insight basically for free, or it feels like they do. So they can give you that decision advantage if they're suitably vetted, grounded, and we're working hard to understand how that's possible.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill. I'm going to call for our last poll question, and then I want to wrap up with our panelists and their final words for us today. So poll question number 3, please, up on the screen. What is the biggest potential use case for conversational AI at your agency? All right, that's poll question number 3. Thank you all for participating. For our panelists, I just want to go around and I want to hear from you, each of you, just for a minute on what your biggest key takeaway is from this conversation, and or just what do you want to leave our audience with? What are your lasting words for everybody here that is online today? Let's start it out with Karen, please.
Wow, well, great. This has been an exciting conversation. I think the key takeaway I've learned is everyone's still trying to figure it out, right? It's still very new, very fresh. We all have very aspirational goals and uses around it, but we're all, I like the term cautious but intentional, I think what was used. I think that is going to become my coin phrase around this. And what I would share with the audience is the agency, the IRS, is going through a huge transformation. I mean, we just released our operating model for Inflation Reduction Act. We've been dramatically funded in a way that we've never been funded before, to be able to test and do proof of concepts, to really make it easier and more enjoyable. You're never going to get to massive enjoyment with paying taxes, but more enjoyable, so people, it's easier to do, it's more understandable. And so I'm excited to be on that wave and to be able to leverage new technology like AI and ChatGPT to really take advantage of this transformation that we're going through now, and be able to test and model and do proof of concepts and bring it into the agency in ways that have, like we've never had before, because the funding hasn't been there. So what I would say is, stay tuned, enjoy the ride, and I hope over the next years you enjoy your interaction with the agency. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, let's jump to Bill next.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the invitation to participate. This was an excellent discussion, and I appreciate being a part of it with my colleagues here. I would like to just say that I think this is an amazing time. I can't believe that this is happening now. I'm just amazed by the advent here of large language models and the power and promise of them in all these different domains. I think we have to proceed. I love the phrase. No, I can't remember it. Deliberate, cautious but deliberate. I think it's a great term. Experimentation should be a part of that, and we are really pushing on figuring out how to do that. But I would like to leave with a comment that we recognize that this is, for the DoD, this is going to rely upon partnerships with industry and with academia to figure this out. This is a whole of nation effort to understand how to leverage AI to modernize and ensure national defense and security. And so that's like our number one thing. We're really behind leveraging these partnerships to move us all forward. And this is a really exciting time and a topic to be working on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Shakib, you're up next.
Well, I like what Bill just said. I think it's very important to, this should be a national priority, and then involve partnership between the private sector, the public sector, and as well as involving the public. The public has to be better educated, better knowledgeable, because it's affecting every aspect of our lives. So, and everybody should be part of that conversation. It is really like something very exciting. There's a technology that never seen before. So there's a lot of capabilities. I think we're still struggling, of course, with how to harness AI's powers and capability responsibly while establishing safeguards to oversee and regulate its impact in various contexts. That's very important. As far as conversational AI, my takeaway is that it has the potential of revolutionizing the way the US federal government interact with its citizens, provide more access, more transparency, more personalized services, more user-friendly services. So that's very important. And then at the same time, we have to make sure that we leverage AI to enforce and respect the privacy of individuals and groups, promote diversity and inclusion, and ensure that AI systems are transparent in their design, development, and use, as well as fair in their impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica, let's hear from you next.
No, I'll second, third, fourth, what others have said. Thank you for for this opportunity. It has been great. I've been taking some notes as as we've been talking, and I've really enjoyed the discussion. One thing that I think really kind of spoke to me, rang true to me in the discussion is this recognition of kind of where the risk continues to lie. The risk and the burden still lies on the government, still lies on the provider, right? To make sure that whatever information we're sharing or tools that we're providing are providing correct information to whoever is using them, whether it's citizen, employee, whoever that person is, that user is, or if the AI is actionable to the point that it is making decisions. It's critical that the action is informed on good data and that it's well understood and that we can justify it. And that is hard. That is a hard problem to solve. But I'm glad that so many people are thinking about it, being cautious, but also deliberate, as Shakib said, but also determined that we will move forward and find ways to make this technology useful and valuable.
Thank you. And Ramu, we will end with you.
Hey, first of all, thank you for doing the webinar. We are under a seminal transformation in how we interact with software. The productivity AI will deliver in every website or mobile app we use in the next coming years is going to be phenomenal. And they can take actions here. And the technology is coming, I would say, get started small and move ahead with justified confidence, as Dr. Williams says. But you can get started now. And we have built our platform, Actionable AI platform, and we have more than 17,000 live self-service deployments for developers. You can get started now and learn from these initial deployments and what AI can do for you, your citizens or employees, and go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you those at home for tuning in and participating. And of course, thank you to our partners at Sky Solutions and Allen AI for making today happen. If you liked this content, you'll probably like our next event, which is up on our screen. It is our 3-day Guide Tech Conference in Annapolis, Maryland, free to government and academia. Yeah, it's awesome. It's going to be a fun time. I'm going to be there moderating some panel discussions. So if y'all come, would love to meet you in person and say hello. But yeah, it's up on our website. So just go register there and we'll see you next time. Everyone, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Bye.